What's up, guys, and welcome to episode 61 of the Yard Podcast. I'm your host, Randy.
And I'm your host, Konu.
And as always, we've got Ray with us. Really quickly, before we get into this, same thing I always say to you guys, please hit that subscribe, follow button. It means a ton to us. Leave those ratings and reviews. Been really working to try and get this podcast something more enjoyable for you guys. So we need those ratings and reviews to let us know. But let's talk about some baseball. It is Tuesday. I don't even know the date. June 22nd. The Dodgers are in the middle of their series with the Padres. Last night was a little ugly, but we will get into that. Tonight's game, we've got the Dodgers at the Padres, kind of neck and neck. Dodgers with 44 and a 28 record, Padres 43-32. We have got Kershaw on the mound, who is 8-6 on the year with a 3.36 ERA, a 1.01 WHIP, 104 strikeouts on the seasons, and 15 walks, going up against Blake Snell, who has just not been good at all this year. 2-3 record on the year with a 5.72 ERA, 1.57 WHIP, 85 strikeouts, 37 walks. I'm sure you know this, but you were spot on with your predictions once again. Since our last recording, they went 4-2. You said 4-2. I went 5-1. Last night was probably the most difficult. I mean, there were only two losses, once against the Phillies, once last night. Last night really sucked for me. Just after we saw the offense kind of go off in Arizona, they just completely died against the Padres. But over their last 10, they're 7-3 and they're 2 games back. We've got the 3 best records in the NL West, or in the NL, just in the NL West, between the Giants, Dodgers, and Padres. So I'm excited for this series, as always, against the Padres.
Yeah, just a little quick preview on Mr. Snell against right-handers, who he'll mostly see tonight. He'll be forcing fastball, changeup. He'll also mix in a slider and curveball, but very rarely against lefties. I'm assuming he only see one, which is Max Muncy. He will see a fastball, slider, and curve. He's going to be 55% four-seam and 33% slider. But as we all know, the pitchers throwing against the Dodgers have really thrown their fastball. So I'm assuming we'll see a lot of breaking pitches. Now, Snell is awful. He doesn't throw a lot of pitches in the zone. So as long as the Dodgers don't chase, they should be all right. So if you look up like his baseball savant, his off speed and breaking stuff, or all his pitches are just really outside of the zone. So it's the key for the Dodgers will be patience. And hopefully they have some of that, because last night was ugly.
Yeah, 16 strikeouts last night. Not a good time at all.
Everybody struck out twice that started, except for Betts and Lux, who didn't strike out at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that was nice to see Lux, because I think you had mentioned last week on the podcast episode, he didn't get a ton of, well, when he did play against the Padres, he was really bad. But hey, last night he didn't strike out like everyone else. So didn't he have, I think he had, maybe, I don't know, they showed something before the game that like it was only a couple, maybe it's from the season. It might have been from 2020 then, I don't know.
He missed 10 games and 2 series were against the Padres.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I thought maybe they brought up a different graphic. I don't know. That game, like from the very beginning, it just did not feel like a good game from that very first inning. So I kind of just was like, okay, this is going to be a going through the motion game.
When the game started, I think it was the second pitch, Betts swung. I was like, okay, hit it hard, nice swing. I like the swing. And then Lux had a really good at bat and drew a walk. And I was like, oh, we're off to a great start. And then up-racked the strikeouts. And I was like, never mind.
Yeah, it went all downhill from there. Yeah. Not a good time last night. We'll go into that a little bit more. But let's start with last week finishing off that series against the Phillies. Tuesday night, before that game was when they officially put Bellinger on the IL, who is actually eligible to come off as of today, I believe, but they said they are holding off until tomorrow to actually bring him back. Max Muncy will be back today, so that is some fantastic news there. Urías with not a horrible outing, but you always want to see your starter go at least 6, and he only made it 5 2/3, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 earned, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts, and he gave up a home run on 96 pitches. And we're going to talk a little bit more about Urías, but I don't know if there's anything that stuck out to you.
I was going to say, when we get to the Padres series, I'm going to tell you what I think the issue is.
Yeah, because it's been a little messy for Urías, especially since the beginning of June. Granted, I think he's pitching more innings than he's used to. He's not really ever had a full season in the big leagues. So we'll get deeper into that. Offense did their thing against Eflin, pretty decent pitcher. So that was nice there. Not really anything in my mind that stuck out in that game offensively. I will say I was there, and when Betts hit that home run in the 7th inning, it finally felt like that was the first sign of I feel like normalcy since, I don't want to say coming out of the pandemic because we're still very much in it. But a little bit of normalcy, because man, Dodger Stadium just completely exploded, and it felt like it did in 2019. It was the best feeling.
Yeah, I usually have my volume on low, but when he hit that home run, it got very loud in my room. So I was like, it must be really loud at that stadium. So it was definitely welcoming to hear that again. And I mean, good for Betts finally.
Yeah, I was very happy to see that, because I'm like, let's get Betts something going in front of the home crowd. He hasn't really had that big let me appreciate the Dodger fan base moment, and he had it the first full capacity night. So that was awesome.
Home run, and then he had a single the next at bat, or RBI single the next at bat. Yeah, so
to help pad the lead a little bit. So
also,
great.
I did want to say that. Oh, sorry. I just really quick. I want to say that I like seeing Bickford battle back. He walked the first 2 batters he saw, but then he really settled in. He loves throwing his fastball. I think it's 86% of the time, so you might want to calm down on that. But he should trust his slider more, because when he's thrown it, it's been really good. So he should probably trust that.
Yeah, Bickford's been really good for the Dodgers. I've enjoyed watching him. Definitely a surprise. We've seen a lot of these guys kind of get called up. Nate Jones was one who, well, he got DFA'd the next day, but that was one I kind of liked. A lot of these guys that we've been calling up to fill in for the bullpen just haven't necessarily got it done. Bickford is not one of those. He's kind of been holding his own a little bit. But yeah, you mentioned that bottom of the 8th when Betts hit that 2-out RBI to give the Dodgers a 5-3 lead. That was against Archie Bradley, who is a Philadelphia Philly now, and we know that the Dodgers always have success against him. So that's always
honestly, I didn't even know he played for the Phillies. So I saw him come out the bullpen, and I was like, "Wait, what?"
I don't think a lot of people knew he was hurt most of the season.
I thought he was still on the Reds.
No, he's I think he was a free agent. I think this was his first year in free agency, and he only played in a handful of games before getting hit, and literally missed most of the season, and just came back, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago or something like that. So not that we really need help against the Phillies bullpen is always awful. Nice. Yeah.
He's not great, but he's not awful either. So
yeah,
he should help some.
He's not horrible, but the Dodgers just own him. So that's always a good time. Trinan came in to pitch in the 9th inning, got 2 quick outs, and then Segura reached on a fielding error by Pujols, but got Trinan looking. Trinan got Realmuto looking to end the game, and Trinan picked up his 3rd save of the season. That game also had 52,078 fans, which is the largest crowd in a U.S. professional sports league game since the start of the pandemic. So that was pretty awesome. I know talking to some fans, there was hesitancy hey, are Dodger fans really going to pack this place? We are still in a pandemic. Obviously, you don't have to wear masks now. It's full capacity. So I was wondering hey, are fans going to show up? And they very much did. And it was honestly the best time. I think I told you, you need to get down there and just get out there, go early, experience it, because even though it's something we've had our whole lives, it was kind of one of those things I feel like everyone, if you live in the area where you can consistently go to games or can go a few times a year, you kind of take advantage of that feeling and what it's like to be there. And man, the new upgrades are awesome. I sent you that picture of the fans standing out in center field watching Urías warm up, and I didn't even know that was a thing. So I want to go do that the next game I'm at, because I think that's such a cool kind of feature of the stadium. But yeah, if you have a chance to get to the stadium this year, do it. You can wear your masks. I saw plenty of people wearing their masks. No one said anything, which good. If people want to wear their masks, let them. But you don't have to. And it is a great time being back with a bunch of probably mostly drunk, but excited Dodger fans enjoying our team. And
I think for the most part, I'm going to end up, even after all this is quote unquote over, I'm still going to be wearing my mask for the foreseeable future, just because I don't trust people.
So. No, I get that. Yeah, I have some friends that are like that. I'm like, at this point, it's if you want to, go for it. No judgment. If you don't want to, go for it. I just hope you're vaccinated, because I don't want to see anyone else get sick or lose their lives out of this anymore. We've had enough of those unfortunate deaths over the last year. I was going to say on to something more positive, but I guess not, because that Wednesday game was not a positive one at all. Wheeler, arguably one of the best pitchers in baseball, best pitcher probably in the NL outside of course, Jacob deGrom. He just absolutely dominated. This was one we talked about on the podcast last week. And I had
my thing is, I don't want to say he didn't pitch well, because I thought he was fine. I don't think he was as good as advertised, if I'm being completely honest. He walked a ton of people. The Dodgers had plenty of opportunities and they did not capitalize. Then Mookie Betts started the game with a walk, Luck singled, and they didn't score. So
the Dodgers
they had their chances.
Beat themselves in a way.
Yes, they absolutely beat themselves. And we're going to talk about this later, but it was one of those things where they were chasing a lot, like they did against Fried and like they did against Darvish, where they weren't patient. Pitches out of the zone, they're just swinging at him. So I'm not saying Wheeler's not good, because he is good, but the Dodgers should have won that game.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to, for most pitchers, like maybe outside of deGrom, I think the Dodgers are capable of beating just about anybody out there. It's just a matter of if they're going to do what they were fantastic at last year, which was waiting for their pitches and not chasing and not going out of the zone, or getting a little antsy and trying to do too much. I do wonder if, because it was only the second full capacity game, I'm sure like it's amped up, the stadium, the music's louder, the fans are more excited. So players are probably like, probably trying to do a little too much, because these games have been very loud, even the ones where like the Dodgers aren't doing well. Like, I don't know if you had the broadcast on for that game last night. Holy shit. It was so loud at Petco Park last night. I just think fans are excited, and the players probably are kind of feeling like they need to show up. So
yeah, I had it on in the first inning, and after the Padres' first inning, I was like, all right, I'm over this.
Yeah.
Mute.
Yeah, it was very, very loud. Kershaw, not a bad day for him at all. He did his job. This loss does not fall on him. It falls on the offense in this one. He does pick up the loss, though, and moves on to 8-6 on the season. 6 innings pitched, 8 hits, which not great, but only 2 earned runs on the night, only 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. He gave up that home run to Hoskins in the first, and then he did it on 110 pitches, which is a ton for Kershaw. So that was nice to see. Before the game, the Dodgers had actually, that was when they DFA'd Nate Jones, and they selected the contract of Steven Souza Jr., who is actually still up on the team. I was going to say maybe he'll be gone, but I'm sure Rex will be gone when Muncy comes back.
Probably.
And Souza probably goes when Bellinger comes back.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing really going in that game. Thursday.
Or
did you?
I did want to say for Kershaw, I thought his command was iffy at best. He got away with things, and I mean that's going to happen. You can't every pitcher make a perfect pitch. I mean, deGrom's the best pitcher on the planet, and he still misses his spots too, but he gets away with it. And for the most part, I think Kershaw got away with it. I do want to say I think the Phillies did a really good job at fouling pitches off and making Kershaw work to get to a mistake. Like there was a lot of times where he'd be ahead in the count 0-2, 1-2, and they just foul pitches off, and then finally either they get a hit or Kershaw struck him out. So I do think the Phillies did a good job there. One instance where I for sure knew that Kershaw got away with it is the top of the 5th inning. The bases were loaded with 2 outs. He threw a hanging slider to Bone, who just looked at it, and then the fastball was right over the plate again, and he was late on it. And then he broke off the best slider part he threw in that game to get Bone striking out. But the first 2 pitches were definitely mistakes, and Bone didn't capitalize on it. So thank goodness for that. So Kershaw was all right, and I am very worried tonight, honestly.
Yeah, it can go really bad really fast, especially against a lineup like the Padres. But Kershaw actually touched on what you said after the game. He had mentioned that the Phillies they made him battle. It was not an easy matchup, and he acknowledged that, right? That was actually one of the very first things that he talked about after his outing. On to Thursday, it was an off day. The Dodgers activated left-handed pitcher Garrett Clevenger from the IL and optioned Rayleigh back to OKC. They also traded right-handed pitcher Dennis Santana to the Rangers in exchange for minor league left-handed pitcher Kelvin Bautista. As we all know, things just weren't working for Santana in LA. Maybe new scenery will get things going for him. He has the stuff. He just the command was not there. It was very stressful every time he came in to pitch. So good luck to him in Texas. Do you know much about this Kelvin Bautista guy? Just anything that you've...
No, I try to look him up, but there was really nothing. He hasn't
Okay.
pitched since 2019, so it was
Yeah,
just like,
so
yeah.
okay, so just a move, because they
But then
did
again, it's Dennis Santana, so what do you expect him to get
yeah, I
from
mean,
him?
they DFA'd him, so I
Yeah.
think they were just trying to get something for him rather than nothing, or him ending up right back in AAA. So we'll see what comes of that. Friday, the Dodgers made their way to Arizona for the first time this year and picked up a 3-0 win. Luckily, Bauer was on it for this game. This was easily his best start, I think, that we've seen from him since all the sticky stuff has happened. Granted, it was the Diamondbacks who are not anymore because they finally got a win yesterday, but on probably one of the worst skids we've seen in baseball in quite some time. But he had a pretty good outing, picked up the win, and he went 7 innings, 3 hits, no runs, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts on 115 pitches. He's now gone at least 6 innings and 14 of his 15 starts as a Dodger, so he's doing it. The only thing that really stuck out in this game, besides the fact that Bauer dominated, was the kind of cool story behind Steven Souza Jr. He hit that leadoff home run in the top of the 8th. Last time, I believe it's the last time he played baseball. Well, actually, he might have briefly played in 2020 or on a minor league team. But in 2019, I believe it was, he stepped on home plate and like tore his MCL playing in Arizona. So that was a big moment for him. He came up in the top of the 8th to give the Dodgers a 1-0 lead, and that would be all they needed. They scored a couple more. Burns scored on a balk. That's always fun. And then Jansen came in and had a 1-2-3 inning and picked up his 17th save of the season. So this game for me was just very boring most of the time because it's the Diamondbacks, and it's not like it was 2 great pitchers and we're like, oh, I mean, obviously Bauer's good, but it's not like we were going against the Padres and it was some great pitching matchup. Dodgers were
It was a lefty, and the Dodgers suck against lefties.
Yeah,
Even though I feel
guess
like they've had
that's...
success against Caleb Smith, I just don't think they're picking them up at all. But I did want to say, so I thought Bauer was really good. There were some mistakes, but he was able to get away with it without getting crushed. He located so much better than he had previously. In the last few starts, he had been throwing his cutter a ton, but it wasn't working. Definitely working against the Diamondbacks. So like for the most part, the reason why Bauer's pitch count is high is like he gets batters to chase, but they're barely foul pitches off to stay alive, and just he has to keep throwing more pitches. So it's a weird and odd thing that he's able to get people to chase, but then they foul it off before he finally puts them away, which is why he has to throw 4 or 5 extra pitches. So if you can cut that down, we're just looking for ways for him to go deeper because this bullpen is going to get tired. And it's not even all on him, it's on everyone. But for him, if he can put people away sooner, then it should help him out and the bullpen out a lot.
Yeah, that would be huge because we've kind of talked about it. It's either his efficiency or like he either gets into a lot of 3-2 counts or just fouls off a bunch and keeps his outings a bit longer, because 115 pitches in 7 innings is a lot. That's usually kind of what you would expect if someone's going maybe 8 or 9. Because I mean, we saw Buehler do that the very next day on Saturday.
But also Bauer being covered in rosin, I thought was hilarious. He's a special person.
Yeah,
he was covered in rosin. Like, my guy. If you're trying to make a point, we get it.
Yeah.
But also Arizona is probably super hot. So
yeah, I'm curious to see what he's gonna look like now that the rules are official as of yesterday about busting players, and we saw Urías get his glove checked and Darvish get his glove checked. So we'll see if
Brown got his glove check. So yeah, every pitcher's going to get their glove checked twice, and then relievers are going to get it checked once, I believe.
Yeah, I think starters get it twice, and then relievers, they get it whenever the umpire decides, either when the inning ends or if they get pulled out to start an inning. So yeah, we'll see how Bauer does on Wednesday against the Padres, because that is going to be a real test right there. But Saturday, this was a fun game, a good game. It looked pretty special from the start. Walker Buehler just absolutely dominant. The dude doesn't lose games, at least like on his stat line. He hasn't lost since 2019. He picked up the win in this one and moves to 7-0 on the season. Dodgers scored 9 runs and Buehler gave up 2, which I usually am like, you know what? That's on the starting pitcher for letting those guys reach. I was very annoyed that White couldn't come in and shut it down because of how dominant Buehler was. I really wanted him to leave that game with no earned runs, but not a big deal. Either way, still a fantastic outing. What was great for me in this one was he finally got those swings and misses up to the numbers we expect. He had 11 strikeouts, but he went 7 1/3, 2 hits, 2 run, 2 earned, 2 walks, 11 strikeouts on 108 pitches. And he was dominant. It wasn't even like hard hit balls. It was just, it looked so easy for him. And I had so much fun watching it. It wasn't like a hurry up, I just want this game to end. It was like, oh, this is exciting. He has the chance. And then of course, Peralta broke up the no-hitter to lead off the bottom of the 8th. But man, Buehler was on it in that game.
Yeah, that's the dominant Buehler we were talking about a few podcasts ago. If that comes around, then the league's definitely in trouble. Mitchell, I texted you this yesterday, but Mitchell White is starting to be like Dennis Santana for me. There's potential there, but I don't think he's ever really going to put it together to be a consistent contributor on this team. So if he doesn't get it together, he won't be here next year. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah, it's been weird for him. The first couple starts I was like, oh, it's just bad defense. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him. And then recently he's kind of just been like, it just frustrates me that with these younger guys, like Ketel Marte, okay, you give up a double to him. He's a good hitter. But like Tim LeCastro is nobody we need to be giving up base hits to, whatever the case. I'm so tired of having these leads. Like it was 9-0 and we saw it on Sunday. Like these young guys come in and they just can't close the door. And it is so frustrating. And like having him come in, you have runners on first and second, 1 out, and then you give up the 3 runs. It's like, man, come on. Like, I get like pitching isn't easy, but at some point, like if these guys want to be on a big league team and a big league team that is trying to win another World Series, like you've got to shut down the shitty teams. And they're not even doing that against teams like the Dbacks. And it just, it is so frustrating.
Okay. Yeah. Pitching's not easy, but against offenses that are down this year, and then against the Diamondbacks who can't win a game and save their lives, this is what you're really doing right now, guys. Like,
yeah.
One of these days it'll get better, hopefully.
There was a little bit of a positive though. Garrett Clevenger pitched in his first game since returning from the IL with left shoulder inflammation. His last game was May 15th. So he came in the bottom of the 9th, really good leadoff walk, but then he got a fly out and 2 strikeouts to end his day. So I was very happy with that. We've kind of talked about what we like about Clevenger and that we both kind of see something there. He just needs to keep the walks down. That seems to be his biggest thing, walks in the home run ball. But other than that, I mean, he looked good. So I was glad to get him back and have him out there because we just don't know entirely what's going on with this bullpen and when some of these other pieces were going to come back. So I was happy to see him have a good game. And really just an all around, it was a great game from everybody on Saturday outside of Mitch White. So really happy with that. Smith picked up a home run, Taylor home run. So, and then kind of Lux with his RBI. Turner had that bases clearing double and Betts with a sac fly. So kind of just getting it done all throughout the lineup as well as on the pitching side of things. So good game there. Sunday should have been a much better game than what the final score looked like. Jesus Christ. But Dodgers go on to win 9-8. Gonsolin, a little bit of a weird outing, although much better and no walks this time. Still not much depth from him. 3 2/3 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 run, 1 earned, no walks, 2 strikeouts on 46 pitches. After the game, Roberts did say that there was some tiredness in his shoulder after his last start, which is why he was down a few ticks on velocity, as well as he only went 46 pitches. So Gonsolin acknowledged it took him a little bit longer to warm up than usual. And it's similar to what he felt before, which seems like a
Yeah,
bad
it's not
thing
good.
to
Yeah.
say. Said he thinks it's just fatigue, but in my mind, that doesn't seem any better.
No.
We've seen guys not play due to shoulder fatigue, and then said he'll absolutely be able to make his next start. He was pitching
No.
exclusively out of the start or out of the stretch.
Stretch.
Yeah, which he said has helped him with his command. So I don't know how you felt. It was a better outing, but like
Um,
Robert said after the game, we need more from Gonsolin because these bullpen games just aren't working anymore. It's been going on too long.
so I thought he was fine actually. I liked what I saw. So when he got taken out, at first I was confused. Like, we have a big lead. You mean to tell me he can't go another inning in a third or whatever just to get to 5? Like, I know you take your starters out, but usually like Kershaw or such will at least get 5 innings, at least get 5 from Gonsolin. And then when I found out that he was having shoulder issues, so if that's the case and he's got shoulder fatigue or whatever, or it felt like it did when he got shut down. I know a few weeks ago we were answering questions. I wasn't in favor of Max Scherzer. I am now 100% on board if that's the case because we need pitching clearly. Um, and another starter would help. Scherzer could easily go 7, 8 innings each night. Plus, if Gonsolin is okay, he's probably better suited for the bullpen, like I've been saying for over a year now, and he can fit there in that Ross Stripling role. So if his shoulder is tired, then a starting pitcher, I think, is definitely of need. Don't know who's available, but probably start looking.
Yeah, they're gonna have to figure something out if he's gonna keep dealing with this. Because, I mean, come October, it's not the end of the year. You can work with a 4-man, but we are going to kill our bullpen if things keep going this way, and then we're not even gonna have a bullpen come October. Last year, I mean, today's game 74. So last year, they're basically already through the playoffs at this point. Like, this is basically all the games that they played a little bit more, I think. But this is basically the total of the games they played last year. And we're not even halfway through the season. So I mean, the other thing too is like podcast favorite Josiah Gray hasn't been pitching and they still say he's a ways away from coming back. And it's like that guy would have been the perfect spot starter to be called up when May got hurt, but then he was hurt. And it just seems like all across the league, pitchers' arms are not what they're expected, which makes sense. First of all, because the sticky substance, they're having to grip the ball a little bit harder. So we're bound to see more injuries from that, as well as just coming off a shortened season. So I don't know what they're going to do, but I'm a little worried if
as
if
far as the bullpen goes, Alexander and Gratterall cannot come back fast enough. You said that was awful again. I'm not mad at him because he's not supposed to be here. Like, he's clearly not ready, and I just think he's being put in bad position because, again, I'm sure he knows he's not ready, but he has to be there because the Dodgers need bodies. This isn't a Mitchell White situation. You said it's only 22, so there's still time for him to, improve or not improve, whatever the case may be. But I hope Alexander and Gratterall are coming fast because this bullpen needs desperate help. And the worst part of the game for me wasn't even that they blew that big lead or almost blew that big lead. It was fucking Josh Reddick getting all the RBIs and hits.
Yeah, that shit was annoying.
Like, I get it. Bad players can have good games too.
But out of all people, Josh Reddick, we couldn't have given it up to
Reddick.
I would have been fine giving it up to literally any other person on the Diamondbacks. Like Peralta, sure, he's kicked our ass in the past. That's fine. I would have rather given it up.
I would have took Tim LeCastro. He's terrible, but fucking Josh Reddick, it was making my blood boil.
Yeah, he got booed. It was really funny. Like, imagine just getting absolutely reamed at your home stadium. That is what happened to him because it was basically like Dodger home
Dodger
games.
Fans,
it was basically Dodger home games that entire time. But yeah, the one thing though that I enjoyed a lot with this was, I don't know. Oh, there it is. That's why. Okay. Pujols hit another home run and he gave the Dodgers a 4-0 lead. It's a 6 with the Dodgers and it's career 673. But that man is just destroying lefties this year. Like, this includes his stats with the Angels, but this year he is slashing 333, 361, 710 with an OPS of 1.071. And like the Dodgers, we've talked about it, they're horrible when it comes to left-handed pitching. And Pujols is out here like, screw it, I'll just carry the whole team anytime a lefty's on the mound. So
it's easy for him.
Yeah,
easy.
I'm freaking stoked to see him go up against Blake Snell. I realized before yesterday's game, it's the first time he's been a part of the Padres, like played the Padres as a member of the Dodgers. So I was really happy and looking forward to that. He is having so much fun. He, after the game on Sunday, said in his interview that he doesn't remember the last time he's had this much fun playing baseball. It's been a long time. He's enjoying it. He said, based on just like the team getting along, he feels like he's been there since opening day. And I have said it time and time again, I was not initially happy with the signing, but I honestly like couldn't be happier with how it turns out. It makes me happy seeing how happy Albert Pujols is with the Dodgers. It's super cool to see, and it's been a ton of fun to watch.
I mean, when it first happened, I thought you were joking. I scratched my head for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, you know what? I'm with it. Let's do this, and it has been a blast.
Yeah, it has. And then it's just one of the things that the Dodgers are capable of doing. We've seen it with Jock. Like a lot of people get mad and go, "Oh, why isn't Albert Pujols playing? Like Roberts is so stupid." And it's like, no, go look at his numbers against righties, and there's a reason why he's not playing. The Dodgers set their players up for success. It's why Jock Peterson's batting average was as high as it was, because he wasn't allowed to hit against lefties. If they let him play all the time, his final numbers on a season would have been awful outside of the home runs.
Instead of hitting 230, he'd be Joey Gallo hitting 198.
Yeah, he still would have had his home runs, but he would not have looked like an overall good player. And this is what the Dodgers are doing with Pujols. He is very specialized. He is only used in certain moments, certain games. And as the Dodgers get more healthy, he will become even more specialized. But having that right-handed option, big right-handed option bat off the bench has been fantastic to have, because
it's something we talked about all offseason, needing a big right-handed bat, and he's providing that.
Yeah, and he's doing it really damn well too. So keep it up. It's been fun to watch. Only other things from that game was Jansen once again came in, did his thing. He's been looking really good. Picked up his 18th save of the season. And then this is where Clevenger, I was impressed. He pitched in back-to-back games, which I found was a pretty big deal after coming off the IL. Didn't play in a game in over a month. So in both of his games back, he's gone 2 1/3 innings pitch and only given up 1 hit, no runs, 1 walk, and struck out 3. So I'm liking where things are heading with Garrett Clevenger in the bullpen. And then there was last night's game, which was ooh buddy. Before the game though, the Dodgers recalled Zach Rex from OKC and optioned Uceta back to OKC. Urías took a fat L in this one, making his record 9-3 on the season. He only went 4 innings pitched, which was his shortest outing so far this year. Gave up 6 hits, 6 runs, 6 earned, 4 walks, and only struck out 5 and gave up 2 home runs and only had 87 pitches. So that was just ugly from the start. Go ahead.
There was a positive. The Dodgers bullpen didn't give up any runs.
Yeah, the Dodgers bullpen was good. They seem to do that from time to time. It's very weird. Like when they need to keep us in close and the offense doesn't want to produce, the bullpen's like, hell yeah, we got you guys. Right. And then on games when it's blown out and we're like, hey, just make this easy, they're like, struggle. Nah. So thoughts on Urías? Because actually, I want to say this first really quickly, just because I don't know if it correlates, but just to put these numbers in your head and then you can go from there. So since June, the whole sticky substance thing coming out, 4 games, 20 2/3 innings pitched, 22 hits, 13 runs, 12 earned, 8 walks, 22 strikeouts with an ERA of 5.23, and opponents have an OPS of 878 against him. So he's getting crushed.
Yeah, I think right now, because everything going on, it's going to be easy to point at the sticky substance issue and saying, oh, that's the reason why this pitcher and such aren't doing well. For me, honestly, I just think he's gassed. His pitches have been flattening and he's missing spots, and I think it's due to fatigue. He's thrown 88 innings so far this year. It's the most he's thrown ever. He's had injury issues, and he hasn't been able to build up that arm for the 150 innings ever. So he was finally fully healthy last year, but of course it was a shortened season. So he threw 55 innings during the regular season and 77 innings overall, including the postseason. He's already 11 innings over that. So I just think he's a bit fatigued, and the Dodgers are going to have to find a way to work around it, either get him an extra day of rest, or I maybe put him in the bullpen for a little bit. I don't know, but I feel like he's gassed and his arm is just not built up for that right now. So it's going to be tough for the Dodgers to navigate through that.
Yeah, someone asked Roberts about this after the game. He said that wasn't the case. Granted, I don't think Roberts is going to bluntly come out and
He's
be
full
like,
of
hey,
shit.
our pitcher's arm is like one thing is a lot of people need to understand, like, it's also just about game planning. Like, you're not going to announce something about a player on your team. Like, of course, Roberts is always going to say what protects his players until they actually decide what they want to do. I know a lot of people get mad and go, why does Roberts always lie about injuries? Every manager does. It's part of gamesmanship. You don't need the other team knowing anything about your players until you decide what you want to do with those players. I think it is, like you said, I don't want to say it's fair, but it is easy to see where people like myself can go, oh, hey, sticky substance. And maybe that's not necessarily it. At the same time, we heard Tyler Glasnow talk about this after he got injured. And I've heard a couple former big leaguer pitchers talk about it. The ball's slippery. And when you are having to put the force on the ball the way that they do, the muscle going up to your elbow is having to grip the ball so much harder. And it's putting 30% fatigue more on these pitchers, which is a shitload.
I think Trevor Bauer went over it very, very well in his Sportsnet LA interview. No, it was in Sportsnet LA interview.
Oh, I didn't.
They asked him about it, and he mentioned exactly what you just said there. And he even went into details saying that when the balls come out, they're super slick and slippery. And what MLB does is they put it in mud to try to get grip on it. But when the mud dries out, it still becomes super slick and slippery, which is why pitchers have tried to find ways to grip the ball better. And then he went through what he would like to see done so that, like, approved substances could be used and have a ball run through a machine. You guys have to watch it for him to explain it. He explained it very well. So I found it very interesting, and I can see it putting stress on the arm if they have to grip the ball better. It's a lot of strain, and MLB has fucked themselves again, and of course they don't care.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't want to make excuses because, like, the spider tack and stuff like that is clearly blatantly cheating. Rosin and sunscreen, there's some arguments about pine tar, but rosin and sunscreen, like, that is basically purely for grip. It maybe hikes your RPMs up like 30 to 50, I think. So it's not like spider tack where it's 300-400 RPMs and it's like completely changing the pitch. I think it's wild that MLB did this in the middle of the season. I get it, but at the same time, like, there's got to be something. Darvish,
I don't get it, honestly.
Darvish, well, I get the idea of wanting to stop cheating. I don't agree at all with how they went about it. I get what they want to do, but I think how they handled it was poor. You can't come into the season and tell pitchers, hey, go ahead, keep using your sticky stuff. We're just going to test for it. Nobody's getting busted. And the pitchers never take the time to adjust. And then all of a sudden a memo drops and they go, hey, 10 days later, this is now a rule that we're implementing that we've never implemented before. Players should have been able to go home in the off season, and MLB should have sent them tacked up balls or something and gone, hey, guess what? Next season, this is what we are doing. Use the ball this way. Darvish had balls sent over from the NPB because they used those sticky pre-tacked balls over there, and he gave them out to all of his teammates, and they seem to love them. So it's going to be something I think the MLBPA and MLB is going to have to discuss. MLB owns Rawlings, so it seems a little ridiculous to me they haven't already, like, really figured something out. Like, sit down and talk to the players. I don't care for Garrett Cole, but that man was almost in tears asking MLB to talk to him and talk to the players in general about what to do with the balls. And that's a pretty bad place when your top athletes,
their livelihoods at stake here.
Like, and when your top producers are calling you out and saying, hey, boss, please talk to me so we can do what we need to do, that I feel like is problematic, and enough people aren't looking at how bad that is for baseball and what the lack of communication has to be in order for a player to say that, especially someone who has no reason to go out against MLB. Like, he got his contract. He already got paid. Like, he already gamed the system to get a big contract. He has no reason to just not sit there and shut the hell up. But you can tell how much it's bugging. He probably also doesn't want
to get hurt.
Yeah, like, which I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either. I mean, and some people are like, well, if you get hurt, you can still collect your money. It's like, fine, but maybe he actually loves the game of baseball and wants to play.
Yeah.
Crazy, right?
Yeah, like there are some players out there who genuinely just want to play. I know I've heard before, like you'll hear people on podcasts, articles, reporters basically say not everybody loves it. There's Mr. Anthony Rendon who doesn't seem like he gives a shit about anything when it comes to baseball. But yeah, I mean, these guys are competitors. They are like the best athletes in the world at their sport. And so they want to do well. And the fact that their bosses, their higher ups don't even care enough to come talk to them, it's extremely problematic. It's bad for the sport. And I'm not looking forward to the CBA in this offseason because it could get very messy. But yeah,
if I'm GMs and owners, I'm coming at MLB too. Like, listen, our players need
I'd be
answers.
pissed. I'm like, I'm paying this guy all this money
Exactly.
and he's getting hurt
I'm
and you're
paying him
not doing
$300 million.
anything. And you're not doing anything to help him out. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's a whole mess and it's going to be talked about all season. We are probably not going to spend much time talking on it unless someone gets popped for it, which I just hope doesn't come on the Dodgers. Cause if you do, you lose that player and you don't get to replace him for 10 days. So, especially if it's a relief pitcher, that would be very, very rough. If you lose a relief pitcher. But yeah, with Urías, it seems like a fatigue thing. I was worried about this. I will be honest, watching him, I almost feel like you need to move him and Gonsolin. They cannot be back to back. Although you want your three best, Kershaw, Buehler, Bauer at the top. It's really rough to have to basically throw two bullpen games 2 days in a row. And if Urías is going to have the fatigue and only give us 4 or 5 innings, I don't want him back-to-back days with Gonsolin because that is just beating the hell out of the bullpen. So
move him in front of Buehler and then have Buehler go to break him up. Yes,
I don't necessarily want that because I want like our 3 best. If we have a 3-game series against the Padres, I want our 3 best going against their 3 best. But for the sake of the longevity of the season, I am worried about the bullpen if things continue to go this way. We can't have Gonsolin go 3 2/3, then Urías go 4 innings back-to-back days. That is like 5 1/3 and 5 innings pitch back-to-back days is rough on the bullpen. Luckily, we got
I do want to say
asses handed to us, so bullpen only had to pitch 4 innings last night. So, but
I was gonna say he struggled in the first inning and then gave runs later on, but I felt
he did bounce back.
He did bounce back. I'm thankful because he could have been out after that first inning. It'd have been an even longer game. So I'm glad he was able to at least get 4. Him and Gonsolin back to back. It's just not going to work right now, and especially if Gonsolin has shoulder fatigue and clearly Urías has fatigue because he's never pitched this much before. And then obviously May's out for the year. Where the hell are the Dodgers going to get pitching?
Dude, it feels like
Josiah Gray, but he's hurt and it might be
Bobby Miller. Just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm kidding.
I love Bobby Miller. We're gonna talk about it later, but yeah, a little too early for him.
Yeah, I don't know what's gonna go on there. I just know that this bullpen can't keep taking the beating like that. It's not been a good time. Only runs scored were solo shots. Betts with his 9th of the season. Smith with his 9th of the season. Betts has his 4th home run in the last 10 games. Smith 4th home run in the last 9 games. So it is nice to see the power stroke from both of those guys kind of pick up over this last week and a half of games. Bill,
I'm going to be completely honest. Last night was some of the worst at bats I've ever seen them take.
From everyone?
From
like you're saying from the whole
everyone.
team? Yeah. Yeah, it was, I wanted to ask you an actual specific scenario because people lost their minds. I was annoyed and I'm just frustrated, I think, at this point. And I know it's going to turn around. But in the top of the 7th, Betts comes up with the bases loaded and swings at a high slider, 2-0, and flies out to center to end the inning. And it's like anyone else, you're kind of like, whatever my expectations. But it is killing me to see the bottom of the lineup, as shitty as they are, battle, get on base, and keep the inning alive for someone like Mookie Betts. And he just isn't coming up in those moments so far this year. Even if it's just a base hit and brings home 1 or 2 runs. Like, I don't need him to hit a grand slam, even if he walks and drives home a run. But it is just killing me to have him continuously come up in these big moments, and he just isn't coming through. I was kind of curious what you thought in that moment because I looked away from the TV momentarily when he hit it, so I didn't even like see where the pitch was, and I was too annoyed to go back and look. But it's just hard because we have so many expectations for Betts, and like I'm trying to keep them leveled because again, it's been a weird year for offense coming off a shortened season. But man, he just has yet to really like truly show up so far this season. He's batting like 252 through 70 plus games so far, and it's killing me.
I mean, so I didn't mind him swinging at it. I mean, the slider was a bad pitch up in the zone, especially. He just missed it. And I mean, that's going to happen. Is it frustrating? Of course it's frustrating, but I can't get mad over little things like that because eventually things will turn around. But I don't want him to stop being who he is, because if he's on and he swings at that pitch and he ropes it off the center field wall or hits a grand slam, we're all happy. But because he's struggling, we want him to change into something he's not. I don't want that at all. So I was fine with him swinging at it. I would have swung at that shit too.
Yeah, I
should
think
he have done more damage? Absolutely. But and I get it's frustrating. The bases are loaded, and this is a time to take into that 6-1 lead, maybe. But things are not going to work out in your favor all the time. So I had no issue with him swinging at it. I thought his swing was fun. He just got under it too much.
Yeah, I think it's just like the combination of like we've been waiting for him to pick it up and to see. I just like my expectations for him are just very high. He has not been good at all against lefties as a Dodger, which is like the most Dodger thing ever because it's
The Dodge thing, yeah.
in the Red Sox, his splits were basically identical. Now he comes over to LA and he's awful against lefties. I don't understand it, but yeah, he's just every month this year he hit 250 and his slugging's a little bit higher, so he's picking up on those home runs in June, which is a great
The
sign.
doubles and home runs, yeah.
Yeah, great
And the
sign
walks.
there. That makes me happy. Yeah, he is also walking more, so I'm hoping that goes up. But
So I think I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but after his MVP year 2019, the first half, he hit like 240 maybe. And then the second half of the season, he hit almost like 330 to bring his average up to 290 plus, almost 300. So he's very capable of having a slow start in the second half of the season, just completely fucking shit up. And that's going to be the case this year. I have enjoyed watching Wing. There's still some misses in there, but I think it's at a point where he's being more comfortable with his swing. And once he does, we'll see the rest of the year him hitting 340 for the rest of the year to bring the average up to more Mookie Betts like territory.
What you're saying about Mookie, it does fit kind of his standard where he just dominates July, August, September / October numbers. So I will happily take that. I would not mind that at all. I think it's just because like the rest of the offense isn't stepping up. It kind of makes his numbers stick out a little bit more. But it's not like we've had Seager. It's not like we've had Bellinger, and it's Muncy's been gone, and Muncy was our best hitter. So I truly believe it's going to be one of those things that once he has guys like Seager behind him, you're going to see more hesitancy from pitchers. They're going to have to pitch better to Mookie because you're not wanting, like right now you're facing maybe Gavin Lux second, Chris Taylor second, whatever, like however they're working with it, which is like good. They're good hitters, but they're not Corey Seager. They're not Cody Bellinger. They're not Max Muncy. Right. So I think that's going to be huge.
And I wanted to, so like hitters are going to miss sometimes. So yesterday I was completely fine with Betts swing. I was fine with Lux swing, and I was fine with Smith swing. Now Lux was the only one that didn't have a hit out of those people, but I thought he put good swings on the ball. And he there was a hanging curveball, and he just missed it. It happens. It's going to happen. It's frustrating, of course, but things like that are going to happen. You can't expect players to get hit every time. Remember, this baseball is about fucking failing. If you fail 7 out of 10 times, that's considered good. So really good, actually. So I think we just take a step back, relax a little bit. Last night was a bad game. Luckily, there's another one tonight. Hopefully it goes better because Snell has not been good, but he has a good track record against the Dodgers, and he's also a lefty. So not looking forward to it either. But I mean, maybe they'll surprise me, and if they're patient and take their walks, once he comes in the zone, just get a base hit. And I think that's what I've been liking from certain people. Like, I mean, Smith hit a home run yesterday, but like, I feel like Lux, Smith, and I can't remember who it was. I think McKinstry, they're not trying to do too much. They're not trying to hit the ball over the wall all the damn time. They're just taking what's coming to them and getting singles. That's good enough. If you get players on, the singles will work eventually. So just stay there, and then you can, at a certain point, you can go for your home runs and doubles, but just take what they're giving you. And I've liked what I've seen from them. Not trying to do too much. I think it's working. Well, I mean, it's not working great, but the thing is, once everybody gets healthy, you can start looking for, Seager and Bellinger to pick up like the home run slack, and you won't have to do that so much. So you can just go, I'm going to slap a single this way, or I'm going to slap a single that way. There was a point in time in the Diamondbacks game where Chris Taylor had a bunt single to third base. I want to see that more. I mean, obviously not all the time, but with like Lux, do that. There's nobody over there, sir. Drop the butt down.
And that dude's fast, so shouldn't be much of
I
an
mean,
issue.
I don't need Turner or Pujols to do it because they can't run, but Betts sometimes, Lux, Taylor, someone with some kind of decent speed, Pollock, it's okay. You can drop that down every now and then.
Yeah. But you brought up Snell left-handed, and I just want to say I can't wait for that Pujols home run tonight to come off Snell. I
love the confidence.
Last night's game, I don't know. I feel good about it. Snell has struggles with the strike zone, so all it takes is him misplacing one ball, and Pujols gonna make him pay for it. But one thing from last night that I did like, again, I kind of mentioned him earlier, Bickford, liked what I saw from him. He saw himself in trouble a couple times and did a fantastic job working out of it, pitching 2 innings in last night's game. And since joining the team on May 23rd, he has pitched in 12 games, 12 innings, 11 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, with 5 walks, 17 strikeouts, and he has yet to give up a home run, and he's got a 2.5 ERA, and opponents are only slashing 2.39, 230, or not 2.39. They are slashing 239, 237, 326 with an OPS of 653. So he's killing it. He's been a great surprise. I've enjoyed watching him when he does out there, and he's been really good.
They've made it known he is a former first round pick. He was actually picked before Buehler in the draft. So clearly there was some potential there. So I mean, Buehler only failed because of potential. Buehler only failed because of the Tommy John surgery. Otherwise, he probably would have been top 10. So thank you for that, guys. But yeah, so clearly there's potential there, and the Giants saw it. That's why they took him top 15 or whatever it was, and now the Dodgers are trying to make use of it.
Yeah, it's working out for us. Were you done on the game side of things?
I was pretty much done for the game. So I started this last week where I said that Justin Turner led the team in hits, and he did that again this week with 6, followed by Betts and Lux with 5 each. So who's going to lead the Dodgers this week in hits?
I'm going to go with Muncy. He's back. So I
like him.
I want to see him just go off. He does well against, he went off, he started and got hot against the Cubs, and the Dodgers head home for that 4 series against the Cubs. So I'm expecting Muncy to, the dude plays with aggression. I feel like he hates the Padres. So it should be a good, I think he's going to have a good week. That's what I'm going with.
I'm going to go JT for a 3rd straight week. He's
heating up.
Nice little groove.
I like it.
Yeah.
We need it.
And that's the person who's not trying to do too much. JT's not trying to hit for power. He's just trying to take the ball where they give the pitch. He's hitting it where they pitch it to him, not trying to do too much. And that was the other person I was thinking of. So yeah, JT. I think he's gonna leave.
JT does his job day in and day out, and that's he had a very slow start to the season, but he's looking like himself as of late. And they need that from him. But to move on, to give you guys very quickly another all-star voting update. Ballots came out updated yesterday. Voting ends Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, so make sure you get those votes in. Phase 2 begins Monday. But Muncy is still in first for first base. Lux is third for second. Turner's third for third base. Seager's third for shortstop. Betts is in 4th for the outfield. Taylor moved up a spot to 5th. Pollock is 14th and Smith is 4th. Position players, the outfield, they'll take the top 9. So Taylor and Betts are in there. As for position players, top 3 move on to phase 2. So right now that would be Muncy, Lux, Turner, Seager, and Smith is just on the cusp right now in 4th, which he deserves it. which he
I love y'all
deserves.
for voting for these players. I'm going to be honest.
I mean, Smith deserves to be
love
higher
you
up
guys.
because somehow like Contreras is ahead of him and he's not. He's
Well, the
batting
Cubs
like,
have a big fan base.
yeah, that's what they
so.
do. But like I said, voting ends Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Phase 2 begins Monday, and voting will only last until 2 p.m. on Thursday, and then they will announce the starters. I think that is next Sunday. Google's like, or ESPN's doing something with it. So on to our injury notes. As we mentioned, Muncy will be back in the lineup as of today. He was out for that oblique strain. Luckily, it was short. Hopefully he comes back and nothing wrong there. Bellinger, his hamstring strain, he is expected to be back in the lineup tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Seager is expected to begin his rehab assignment Friday or Saturday. They don't know yet how long he will be there, but everything seems to be going great. Alexander, who went on the 10-day IL on May 6th, was left shoulder inflammation. They moved him to the 60-day IL on June 9th. He is expected to come off the IL when eligible, which would be July 2nd. So that would be huge, getting another left-handed arm in there. He threw a sim game against a couple guys yesterday. Bellinger and Muncy were in there. Robert said all three of them came out well. Susugo, I don't know if he gets brought back up at any point because he started a rehab assignment in OKC on Thursday, and I have literally heard nothing since. He's placed on the IL June 9th with a right calf strain, so he is eligible to come back, yet the Dodgers haven't mentioned anything yet, so not sure what's going on there. Corey Knebel is playing catch as of last week. He's about 90 feet or so making some progress there, but that is it. That is it on the injury update. So let's do our series look ahead very quickly once again, because it's a weird season. They don't have the pitchers, so I just did the Dodgers in order. But tonight we've got Kershaw versus Snell. Tomorrow will be Bauer versus Musgrove, and then the Dodgers go home to begin a 4-game series with the Cubs, and that should be Buehler on Thursday, Friday Gonsolin, Saturday Urias, with Kershaw on Sunday, and then they have a very quick 2-game series with the Giants that begins Monday, and that should be Bauer, and they'll finish that up Tuesday and have an off day on Wednesday, I believe. So that is, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games. We've got 7 games, 2 more against the Padres, 4 against the Cubs, and 1 against the Giants. I'll be honest, this Padres series makes me a little bit nervous. I feel like they just play with a fire under their ass when they play us, and they certainly play with more fire than we do. I don't want to be negative, but it's hard for me to think that we come out of this with a series win, but you never know. If we get a win against Snell tonight, that would be huge. So I'm going to go with 1, 2, 3, 4. This might be a little over optimistic, but I'm going to go with 5-2 over the next week, just because I don't think the Cubs will be as problematic this time around. Gonsolin might be my only question mark against the Cubs, and I think Bauer should be fine against the Giants. So I'm going to go 5-2 over the next week.
You said 7 games?
Yeah.
2 Padres, 4 Cubs, 1 Giants?
Yeah.
Okay. 5-2 sounds right. They'll win one of these next 2. They'll win 3 or 4 against the Cubs, and they'll win that one against the Giants.
So 5-2?
Yeah.
All right. So we're both going with 5-2. I think that's doable. Shouldn't be too horrible. But with that said, you want to lead us into the minor league minute, and then Ray will take over the MLB news.
Okay, so we're going to start with Miguel Vargas, who last week I mentioned he broke the hit streak for the Loons last week. He was then called up to Double-A Tulsa. He plays third base, and so does Hosey and Devin Mann. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out when Hosey returns from injury. But in Vargas' short time, he went 3 of 17, but 2 of those 3 hits were home runs, and he also drove in 4. My favorite hair in the world, Andre Jackson, made 2 starts this week. He went combined 9 2/3 innings, gave up 6 hits and 4 runs. He ran into some issues that Buehler and Bauer have, and that's giving up runs coming via the home run. So that killed him a little bit this week, but he also struck out 17 in those 9 2/3 innings. So that was very Buehler and Bauer-esque. He's got good stuff, just has to command his pitches better. The potential is definitely there, and I see why they protected him from the Blue 5 draft. Podcast favorite Bobby Miller went 3 innings, struck out 4, gave up 2 hits and 3 runs, but none of those were earned. So his defense didn't help him out any. He actually lowered his season ERA to 0.86. That just doesn't make any sense. He's got 24 strikeouts in 21 innings and has yet to give up a home run. The kid's going to be special. Andy Paget had 7 hits and 24 at-bats. He hit 3 home runs this week with 5 RBIs and 2 stolen bases. Seems like he's getting better week by week. The power is really showing up. He's actually top 5 in the league in OPS. No surprise, the number 1 pick, Spencer Torkelson, is number 1. But Paget does lead the league in home runs with 12, and he's only 20. So the second half of the season may be AA, or might be pushing it a little, but he's off to a really good start. Kendall Williams, who I think you said you're high on or you're excited about. He pitched 4 innings this week, striking out 4, giving up 1 run. So far this season, it's been a bit of a struggle, ERA of 4.81, but he's only 20, so there's definitely room to improve. And he's definitely shown flashes of why people were excited when he came over in that Ross Stripling trade. You mentioned Scott Alexander. He pitched 1 inning in his rehab assignment in Low A Rancho. He had a clean inning with 1, 2, 3. I don't know how many more innings he'll get, but hopefully it's quite a few. You said he's eligible to return July 2nd.
Yeah.
So it seems like with rehab pitchers are going every 2 or 3 days, so hopefully he'll get a few more games in before that. Bruce Gratterall, 7 1/3 innings for AAA so far. He's given up 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, and 10 strikeouts. The strikeouts are nice, but nothing else has been good. But I think most importantly, he's gotten through a healthy, and he has back-to-back clean innings with 3 strikeouts in those appearances, so maybe he's starting to find it a little bit. Lastly, I wanted to see how Alex Vesia was doing. So he made 2 appearances this week, going 2 innings, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. So that's nice to see. In June, he's thrown 5 innings, giving up 2 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 8 strikeouts. So the walks still seem to be an issue, but the strikeouts are also still there. That we saw him do that with the Dodgers, walk a lot, but also strike out a lot. I know Dodger fans don't like him because he's bad, but I see the potential in him, and I think you do as well. I think he's going to be good. He has some things to work out, maybe clean up his delivery a little bit that'll help with his command. But he's been good since going back to AAA, and hopefully they'll get things figured out. And if he makes his return at some point, he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, he's another guy that I feel like just isn't ready just yet to be called up. He's close. But I know a lot of people were upset. He came over in the Dylan Floro trade, but if you're still upset about the Dylan Floro trade, while these numbers aren't bad, not too much to really hang on to. He's got a 3.72 ERA in 29 innings pitched. So Vesia will be with us for a couple years, and I think that trade will work out in our benefit. But with that said, Ray, if you want to finish us off. I just want to say Byron Buxton is cursed. Sorry, because I know you're going to bring that up, and I'm so upset. But
Rocco Baldelli literally just called it unfair. He's literally called it unfair. We'll get to that in a second. You mentioned the MLB sticky stuff crackdown, foreign substance crackdown started yesterday on Monday. Starting pitchers twice a game, relievers anytime they come off the mound, whether end the inning or a pitching change, and closers before they pitch, they will be checked. Joey Votto was suspended 1 game. It was originally 2 after his ejection that turned into probably one of the funniest stories of the week, of the little girl who came to see specifically him, and he got tossed in the first inning. He got a 1 game suspension out of that. He'll serve that today, Tuesday, I believe.
If you haven't seen that video, please go look it up. It has been everywhere. The Reds have posted it. It's the most adorable thing. Not the suspension the day after. It was Sunday. Votto took the time with the little girl. That made me very happy. And it also makes me realize that umpires need to maybe chill out on these kind of ejections, because you don't ever think about that side. Like, this is the part of growing the game. Like, had Joey Votto not been a good human being, or that family not had been able to go back to the ballpark the next day, like, that little girl would have lost out on having the opportunity of watching her favorite player play and possibly bringing a new fan. So good guy Joey Votto took care of it, but that's kind of the stuff that I feel like we need to be more aware of with umpires. Like, come on, guys, like, the kids are there to, we need to get more fans of this game, like throwing out the stars of the game, or not even star Joey Votto, but big name Joey Votto. Like, I saw people saying it was his fault,
but I feel like in the video I saw, he was walking away and the umpire was still talking. So he turned back around.
He yelled at the third base because the third base said he swung, and I guess Votto looked at him and was like, I didn't swing, that wasn't a swing, and he started to walk away, and the home plate umpire was like, don't talk to him, and Votto was like, don't fucking talk to me, like, I wasn't talking to you, like, exactly. You don't need to get involved. And Votto said after that, like, maybe there were some words he shouldn't have said, but but that he was thinking about his dad after he got thrown out of the game, and that he said his dad would have been proud of him, so he was happy with the choice because it meant him standing up for himself and
But
kind of.
he's right. The home plate umpires should get involved. If he's not talking to you, mind your
Nothing
business.
pisses me off more than when a home plate umpire chirps at a player that's walking away. It's like, what are you doing? Like that, nothing makes me more than that. If a player is walking away and they are not hurling insults at you, let them say whatever they want. They're not calling you names. They're not putting you down. Let them walk away. Like, let them go, what the fuck? That was a bullshit call. Like, who cares?
Yes.
If you're an umpire,
Yeah,
get over it. It shouldn't matter. Like, don't throw them out for stuff like that. If they start calling you names or saying things that they shouldn't be said, that's a different story. But I don't think that was the case with Votto. But yeah, awesome story. And everyone should go watch that video because it's the cutest thing you will see. Sorry, Ray, go ahead.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, Byron Buxton has a fractured left hand. He got hit on the hand by 95-mile-an-hour fastball in his third game back from the IL after dealing with a hip strain. There is currently no timeline for that return. So we thought he was going to be back for the All-Star game. He probably will not be back for the All-Star game now. Alex Bregman is out with a quad strain. Dusty Baker said it will be a while. They have no official timeline on that as well. Max Fried. Yeah, hard for Dodger fans to feel bad. Max Fried is on the 10-day IL, retroactive to June 19th with a blister. He's expected to come back on that 10th day. And I just want to mention that Jacob deGrom has a 0.5 ERA and 12 consecutive starts of 0 or 1 earned runs. That is a new MLB record.
Ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous. I will be honest, I couldn't read the post because it was in Spanish, but I think it's MLB Mexico. And the graphic was about him and Fernando having a 0.50 ERA within, let me see. The difference with Fernando Valenzuela's start in 1981 is the number of openings. Jacob deGrom, 12, and the Toro had 8. Okay, so yeah, through 8, Fernando did the same thing in 1981, had a 0.5 ERA, which is just absolutely insane because he was, I think, like throwing complete games at that point. So Jacob deGrom's a monster. Nobody's better. Yeah. So that guy deserves all the, it was also funny that he was the first guy in baseball to get checked for sticky substance too, because like he's never, ever been accused of cheating, but it's just part of it. So
also hot take, when the Dodgers play the Mets, if they face deGrom, the Dodgers are going to score 4 runs. You heard it first.
All right. I hope so. Cause sometimes they can get it going against them. I never know, but yeah, we've got to finish up this series against the Padres. The way things are going, I just don't want to get swept. I think the Dodgers could win the next 2 against them, or they could split. Either outcome I think is very reasonable. That series against the Cubs will be fun. There's a bobblehead in there as well as the game against the Giants. But as always, we appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. Make sure you subscribe, follow, leave us some feedback, ratings, reviews, hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, let us know what you think. You can find me there at Randi_Radcliffe.
And you can go to allmylinks.com/Konu, KONU, and find my social media on there.
You can follow me on Twitter at Stingray417.
And we hope you guys have a good rest of your morning, night, afternoon, weekend, whenever it is you listen to this. Go Dodgers, and we will catch you guys next week. Bye, guys.
See you later, guys.